Big weekend in sports. The Tampa Bay Rays take 2 out of 3 against the Miami Marlins. We've got some Buccaneers news and notes regarding Bucky Irving and the running back situation coming up. But let's start with the Rays, Steve. And, they could have swept this series. They got away from a little bit on, Saturday night, I believe. But
a little bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, 8 runs in the extra inning.
Yeah, they got to extra innings, and then Hunter Biggie, woof.
I turned it off. I saw where the Marlins had blown the save, and it was, I guess, did they give that guy an error at shortstop that scored the tying run in the bottom of the ninth? I'm not sure.
I believe so. I'm trying to remember back.
It was like a ground ball to short or something. He kicked it, and runner scored. Anyway, they went to extras. Then I was going out to dinner, and I did not hear. And then I saw where they got hammered. But 8 runs, and Hunter Biggie just got racked, I guess.
Yeah. So by the time it got to like 3 or 4, 5 runs, it was kind of like they got to take him out, right? But it's kind of like we don't want to waste another pitcher at this point.
Sacrificial lamb.
You probably lost the game. Although the funny thing is so you give up 8, and then you come out with nobody out, you still score 3 runs. With no outs, and you're like, well, they got a shot.
Only 5 down.
Yeah, and that was through the big part of the lineup, and then they went down after that. But
yeah,
so they're 11-game streak at the Trop broken because they had won 11 straight home games.
Yeah,
so that cost them that, but they win the game on Sunday, so you take 2 of 3.
Mm-hmm.
The first team in the American League to 30 wins this season. Second team in baseball.
The other being the Atlanta Braves, right?
Yes. So they're the best team in baseball. The Rays are next. The Cubs are right there. They were at 29. I don't know if they won today, so they might be at 30 as well. But
yeah, not bad. That game on Sunday, too, was on Peacock, I believe.
It was. It was an early 12:15 start. So
yeah, Brian Anderson was actually doing some of the network stuff for them.
Yep.
It was cool. Caminero, some of the pitches that he hits for home runs, you shouldn't even reach.
Nope.
He hit a slider. I think it was a slider on the outside edge where he was actually out in front of the pitch, extended the bat, but he has such a natural arc to his swing, and he's just so damn strong. He has such bat speed that he was able to lift it over the left field wall. Like that was the reaction of the pitchers is hilarious at this point. Mm-hmm. They're like, "What do you want me to do?" I harkened back because I had a really good friend that used to pitch, and we were playing in a state tournament or a regional or something like that. We were playing this Miami team that was just great. No, it was Puerto Rico. They were great too. And he threw one that was about 1.5 feet off the ground, and this guy golfed one to center field about 420 feet. And he and he was a good friend of mine. He started laughing on the mound. I'm like, "What's so funny, man?" It was all intense. And he goes, "Rick," "Look where I threw. Did you see where that pitch was?" He goes, it was like 3 inches off the plate and at his ankles, and he golfed it out to center field for 400 feet. He goes, "What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Yeah, I get it." And that's kind of the reaction that the pitcher had for the Marlins again, because Caminero is just so strong and has such great bat speed that he's able to just kind of get around it and lift it to left field and then hammer it out there. That was impressive, man.
Yep. Yeah, he had a home run. Yandy Diaz had a home run. He crushed it.
Yandy blasted one, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That was crushed. And then Taylor Walls, a 3-run triple.
Love it. Hey, man, if Taylor Walls, seriously, can give me 225,
mm-hmm.
and get his on base up a little bit.
With the defense he plays?
Oh, my God. Yeah. I'm more than happy. And, maybe it's rubbing off on him that he can, bunt, hit the other way, and try not to lift the ball as much, kind of the way Sampson's doing.
Simpson?
Or Simpson. I call him Sampson again. Why do I always do that? Chandler Simpson. There's got to be a Sampson somewhere that's in my head, the way that Chandler Simpson does. And this would be a great approach. But, he hammered one, had a triple, bases clearing triple. That was cool.
By the way, they bunted a lot this weekend.
They did.
How about Cedric Mullins had 4 hits on Saturday.
Right.
Two bunts, a home run, and then a single. The bunts were perfect.
Yeah. What I love is just how they've totally embraced the small ball. And the great thing about the Rays is when everybody zigs, they zag, so for a while it was always home run or strikeout and launch angle and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go back to 80s Cardinals baseball.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious teams don't know how to field the bunt.
No.
And the speed, particularly from Simpson.
Oh, they can't get him.
speeds the defense up.
Yes, it does.
Even on grounders, and
Yep.
just they make errors because
Yep.
they're rushed.
Yep.
It's not in a routine.
Nope. And I want to submit that whether he's on base, he's a threat to run every time,
Mhm.
and when he's at the plate, you're cognizant of his speed. I think he gets better pitches to hit as a result, and I'm sure the guy behind him gets better pitches to hit because they're worried about him running. You know,
Yep.
so you're probably going to throw harder
Well,
stuff.
I mean, lately he's batting first, and Camaro's behind him. So
Right. Exactly. So he's raking.
yeah,
Or should be, because they're not they can't be dirting the ball to Caminero and letting him run on breaking balls in the dirt. So the other problem though that kind of stood out in this series, and maybe it's one catcher and not the other, but the Rays couldn't throw anybody out on Sunday.
well, they're not good at throwing runners out, which is ironic because they steal all over the place, and they're not good at it.
Right. Now I'm not sure.
And granted, the Marlins lead the league in stolen bases.
Oh yeah, no,
Like,
they
they
can
lead
run.
baseball. They have more than the Rays. They
Yeah,
run
yeah.
more than the Rays.
Yeah. But just everything was a double. You know what I mean? And one time they got overzealous and got thrown out at third for no reason. That was a bad decision by the Marlins to try to run. But just in general, like that, it's nice to be a team that causes stress on the other team's defense. But when you can't throw anybody out, you're kind of put yourself in the same position.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be something they have to address, whether it's the pitchers doing a better job of holding runners or something. But no, man. So now Junior has 12 home runs, I believe, on the season.
Is it 12 or 13 now?
I thought it was 12. I could be wrong. I thought it was 12. Who
He's
caught on Sunday? It was Fiducia that was catching, I believe, right? I think that's right.
He caught Friday, Saturday. It was Fortes on Sunday.
Oh, Fortes on Sunday? Okay.
Yeah.
So Fortes is the one that they've run a lot. I think he was like 5 for, I don't know, 30 or something like that on throwing guys out.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, I still think as they get longer into the season that somehow, of course, they lead Major League Baseball in contact, just getting up there and moving the baseball, which is great for the way they're playing. But I think about if they get to the postseason, and right now the way they're playing, it would seem that you play 500 the rest of the way, you probably will. When they get there and you're facing 1, 2, and sometimes the third pitcher, but then back to 1 again, and the bullpen is you're gonna get the A bullpen every night. I just wonder if they're going to be able to score enough runs. I know they can manufacture runs, and there's no reason to think you couldn't do that, against anybody the way they play. But when there's no defense against a 3-run homer, right? So you make one mistake, and then trying to come back from any kind of a deficit with small ball might be difficult.
Yep.
That to me is what's going to be the Achilles heel of this team.
Yep. And how about Nick Martinez too?
Oh.
So he's now allowed 2 or fewer runs in each of his first 9 starts with the Rays.
It's crazy.
That ties A.J. Burnett for the longest season opening streak by a pitcher age 35 or older in the modern era since
A.J. Burnett. How long ago was that?
11 years ago, 2015.
Jeez. Yeah, no, it's sick. And then you consider, what Shane McClanahan has done and the streak that he's on.
Yep.
Their pitching is elite. It's just elite. And we're almost to Memorial Day, right? Which is one of those yardsticks, I think.
Yeah, I believe it's a week from today. It's an early Memorial Day this year.
Right. So, I mean, when you get there, it's not a fluke. It might be a really good hot start, but it's definitely not a fluke. But then, there's so much baseball, injuries and everything can change the whole.
I mean, we're just
complexion
past, a quarter of the way through the season. So,
yeah. I mean, you take some of the big bats, and they have some big bats. And like I said, I think Caminero, a lot of their guys in the top 4 in the order at least could play and hit for anybody, right? I mean, they'd be in any lineup batting where they're hitting. But if you were to lose 1 or 2 through injury for any length of time, that surely would affect their production. And there are nights where they don't score a lot of runs because they're not going to hit the home run. So you wonder, you do wonder, and we're a long way from this, but you do wonder if they wouldn't benefit. I know they would benefit, but if the Rays would, as they get deeper into the season, if they're still up or at the top of the AL East, and I think they can win it, if they wouldn't make a deal for another bat. To me, that would be, that would be the part.
I think, look, if they're in contention for the AL East, they're going to make some moves.
Mm-hmm.
How big and what they can pull off, and we'll see what new owners give them too. How much can they add to the payroll?
That's it too. Yeah.
But they've shown over the years, and granted, it's new owners, so you don't know for certain.
Right.
But when they have a shot, they'll go for it. Stu did that. I mean, you can complain a lot about Stu. And but when they were in contention, he allowed them to up the payroll at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Maybe if you wish they did it more, okay, fine. But it wasn't a hard, fast like money in, money out at that point. Now we'll see what the new owners do. But I got to imagine if they're in contention come All-Star break right before the trade deadline. Yeah, I think they're going to make moves.
Can you imagine what it would be like to be like Patrick Selupsky and some of these guys that just bought this team, and you're on this carpet ride right now? I mean, it's not supposed to be like this, boys. I guess you arrived at the right time. I mean, good for you, But what could be more fun than to be on top of the AL East right now,
Well, but you bought granted, the last 2 years they were below 500, didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you bought a franchise that's widely considered really good at the baseball side.
True.
It wasn't like you bought, the Angels.
That's a good example, yeah.
Who just can't seem to do anything. Like at Mike Trout, you gone to the playoffs once. Like, really?
Criminal.
You had Shohei Ohtani for a lot of those years too.
Right. Yeah. You had them both.
So it's not like you're in that, but you are in the AL East.
Well, that's the thing. They're outspending you, 3-1 sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But you bought a franchise that, has a history of doing well. It hasn't won at all yet, but so it wasn't like I said, it's not like this wasn't expected. I did not expect them to be the first to 30 wins in the American League at all.
Nobody did.
I don't even think Eric Neander and them would have thought that.
Not an honest moment.
You hope for that, but were you expecting it? No.
And I think that what's been interesting is, and I saw some comments like, the national media has to recognize that this Rays team that could is winning the American League East right now, right? And yeah, it's not Memorial Day and all that, but the stories have been, here they come again. I don't know how they do it. They don't have a payroll.
No, hold on. Here's the key word they use. What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce, right? Yeah, there you go. What is the secret sauce that the Rays have that nobody else can quite figure out because they just don't? You look at them and you go, and there's a lot of ways to win baseball games,
mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think there's a reason Kevin Cash is the longest tenured manager for the same team, I believe, at this point.
Yes, he is.
2-time manager of the year. The
mm-hmm.
buy-in in this franchise, the buy-in from guys that come from outside, obviously the things that they do with their pitching is well proven, with Kyle Snyder. And very rarely do they get a pitcher that then doesn't perform. He usually almost always gets better the longer he's here. They make some adjustments. And
that's why pitchers want to come here. I mean,
absolutely.
Pitchers that are at a crossroads in their career, like
sure,
if the Rays are calling, they're like, yes, I want to be there. Like
absolutely,
they're going to figure out how to make me better.
Absolutely. And whether it's for 1 year or 10, you're going to end up making money and doing really well. And look what's happened. So, there is a Rays way to it, but to me, it's more about, just the buy-in and that you can tell guys, hey, we're going to run, we're going to bunt, we're going to hit and run. We want to put the ball in play. We really don't want a lot of strikeouts. Don't worry about hitting home runs. Like, try to play within yourself, and pass the baton. And not everybody's going to buy into that. Nobody's going to do that. Guys get paid based on their own numbers, and Everybody has a reason why they play. It's hard to get 25 guys to agree to anything for 6 months, but the Rays have managed to do it. And I think these guys genuinely like each other. It's a lot of fun when you win. The whole culture thing is winning. Everybody talks about how great the clubhouse is. Yeah, because you're winning. Have you ever known anybody to say, oh, our club, or maybe the Yankees when they used to have 25 cabs for 25 players?
There's been a couple teams that have won and had bad clubhouses, but
true.
It's not the norm.
They're the exception, right?
It's usually they're so talented.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the '86 Mets had their little fractions, didn't they?
Yeah, but a little bit.
But they also had Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry and Keith Hernandez. So,
yeah, they're pretty good.
They're okay. Yeah. So I mean, they got maybe Ray Knight didn't get along with certain people. Who knows? But it didn't matter because they were just that talented. But that's the exception. But when you're winning, everything's fun, and these guys generally do seem. And the other part of I think which helps in their clubhouse every year is that this organization makes use of their entire roster, and not just what's at the major league level, but what they got down in the minor league level too. The whole thing has always been that the Rays don't beat you with their 25 players; they beat you with the 40 and 50 and 55. That their depth of their minor leagues and organization is so good they can bring guys in and out of here and they're still going to produce. So yeah, it's been fun to watch, man. It's no fluke. I mean, Miami's not great, right? They don't score a lot of runs. They didn't just win 2 out of 3 against a great team or anything, but they've beaten everybody, in or out of the American League. Except for the NL
Central. They can't do that, but they're done with them. So
no one can beat them. Yeah, they're done.
Yes. And how'd you feel with seeing Pete Fairbanks pitch there? He blew the save, got the win.
He blew the save, got the win. It was a very Fairbanks-like performance, right? He gets an out, but then he got behind guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think he walked the batter. He ended up at third base, and then just didn't get good defense behind him on a chopper or whatever, the shortstop, and the run scores. So it went down as a blown save, but it just doesn't sit right with me that he's not a Ray at this point. And could they use him? Yeah, but kind of the same Pete Fairbanks route. I mean, he could be dominant, or he could just be like he was never going to have a 1-2-3 inning in the 9th inning. Like, it never felt like it was ever clean.
Yep. It never did.
And very capable of just walking the park. In fact, I've seen him do that. I think we've seen him walk, 4 straight batters before when he's come in. And so, I don't know. I thought about this too. Like, you're Pete Fairbanks, and okay, the Rays didn't want to pay you, and you got your, what is it, $11 million a year he's making down there or something like that. It's not chump change. It's a good amount of money. But then you leave, and like all of a sudden they're leading the American League. Like, that would suck, And Miami's not in the same place, and not having the kind of season. But I guess that's baseball, man. That's why it's a business, and you got to do what's best for you and your family. And he did. But it was weird. I thought it was weird seeing him out there pitching against them. But yeah, he got the win for what it's worth. All right, we got some Bucs news we can get into here in just a second, but first, let's talk about our sponsors, Breitling Boutique down at International Plaza Mall. We'll be introducing some things they have coming up. I'm sure some specials, and of course, all kinds of holidays and things that occur that they will be part of. But for the meantime, I want you guys to get down there and understand that they have some of the best Swiss watches ever made in the world. The Breitling Company has been making Swiss watches for 140 years. They've been in International Plaza for 6 years. Now, customer service, second to none. Go in there, spend some time. It's a beautiful store, center of the mall, second floor. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique and all their beautiful watches for the men, the Chromamats, the Navitimers, ladies' watches as well, sports watches, and incredibly durable, beautiful. She's going to choose from all different colored wristbands. And while supplies last, they have been celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with the 32 different NFL team watches. And these watches are mostly Chronomats. They have others that we can talk about, but basically they have the team color in the face of the watch, the logos inside. And I found out they have 3 different types of these NFL team watches, including sports watches. So you want to get on down there. Take a look at what they have available. And it is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. When you go, please let them know you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the Bucs now, and they're going to make their defensive coaches available to us on Tuesday. Much like last week, I had a chance to talk to the offensive staff. Some changes on defense, obviously, more about guys getting promoted. Todd Bowles did wind up either firing or retiring 7 different coaches on the staff, and some of those are on defense. So we'll get into all that in their draft and how they feel things are. Especially with Ruben Bain Jr. and some of those others. I had a chance last week to talk to the offensive coaches. And one of the guys that we discussed, and just the running back situation in general, I think it's very interesting this year. And any team that you see at the top of the standings at the end of the year, there's some constants that seem pretty obvious, but they almost always apply. Is that your better teams in the NFL can run the football and can stop the run. And they do those two things fairly consistently. And if you can do that, it's a simple game. If you can reset the line of scrimmage, if you can make teams one dimensional by stopping the run, you're going to have a good day, whether that's on offense or defense. And then last year, we know that it was a little uneven, to say the least, with the running game. And I think the biggest part of that was because they were missing offensive linemen. First, it was the tackles. Tristan Wirfs was out for a while. Luke Gedeke got hurt. And then the guards started going down after about the second week. And the guard play was really subpar because they didn't, even Ben Bredesen got hurt at one point, and they didn't have him or Cody Mock. So it was bad. And because of that, they didn't run the ball very well. Now, also a big part of it was Bucky Irving. And Bucky Irving getting hurt, and not just his foot, but also more dramatically his shoulder, was the reason why he didn't have a very good year. And he struggled being injured too, as we know. Had some emotional issues as well. He missed 7 games altogether. And even now, when the season was over, he had shoulder surgery, and he's not really participating with the team. He's out there doing some stuff individually. The word is that they expect him, and the word expect is big here, but they expect him to be probably limited until they get to mini camp, or more likely training camp, to be honest with you. But by training camp, they expect him to be full go. So that's really good news. But I think they want to be careful with him. And there's no contact right now anyway, but just to let that thing heal up. I think it's interesting that you're going to have Zach Robinson calling plays. I think it's going to be much better than it was even last year. It'd be more, I think, similar to what Liam Cohen does. Those two guys, both on the Rams staff under Sean McVay, both run the same system. Very good friends, and it was that system really a couple years ago that Bucky came in as a rookie and rushed for 1,122 yards and 8 touchdowns. And last year, he never got on track. I mean, 588 rushing yards, but more importantly, his yards per carry went from 5.4 to 3.4, and that's a dramatic drop off. And I think most of that can be attributed to the fact that the offensive line was bad, but also he wasn't healthy. And I think there's a reason why the Bucs went out in the offseason and let Rachaad White go, although Rachaad seemed pretty adamant about leaving, and he wound up going to the Washington Commanders for $2 million. And then they signed Kenneth Gainwell from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was their most valuable player last year for Pittsburgh. And he got a pretty big contract. I mean, he got like $7 million a year. They also still have Sean Tucker because they gave him that 1 year, $3.52 million tender as a restricted free agent. So the difference this year than what it was with Rachaad being around is that every one of these backs look and can do the same things. And you could say, well, that's not good because you really don't have that big power back. Well, that became Tucker's role. For whatever reason, he was pretty effective at it, short yardage, goal line. I think he had 7 touchdowns last year. That'll probably be his role again. But they're all between 5'9", 5'10", and they weigh about 195 to 210 pounds. And I think with Bucky, and we were talking to Robinson about this, he's like, there's definitely a sweet spot. And I've talked to Tom Moore, who's close to Bucky as well. The thing about Bucky is that even though he's listed like 5'10", 200 maybe, two something, 210. Um, he runs like he runs in a style as if he's bigger. Like he runs to contact sometimes, and that's not what you want him to do. He's about Warwick Dunn's size, and I think that the secret of Warwick Dunn was always that he knew when the journey was over. You know, they had Mike Allstott could be the A train and run people over. Warwick was going to get what he could and either get out of bounds or get down. You know, he was in self preservation mode. Bucky's looking to hit you and run you over sometimes. And that's not what you want him to do. And last year he got hit way too many times, which is why I think he got hurt. But Robinson said that, look, you know, there's a balance there, and you know he's got toughness, but sometimes you got to save him from himself. And you know he's very tough physically, but also that you know if he gets a hot hand and he's running the rock great and he winds up with 25 carries, but he has 140 yards, you're like, yeah, we needed every one of those yards, you know. So you definitely can ride him to win games. But I think now with Gainwell, they'll be more likely than not to sort of, you know, intertwine those guys. I know Rashad got a lot of reps, but you know, Bucky, and I still think he'll be RB1, but Bucky was the home run hitter. Bucky was the one that was going to get the ball in the end zone. And Rashad, for all that he did do well, his career rushing average is still to this day under 4 yards a carry. And that's just not efficient enough in the NFL. So um, Gainwell will be efficient. I think Sean Tucker still can get better. I expect all three of these guys to get, you know, sort of a rotation going. It's hard. Frankly, it's hard to get three guys involved in a game plan. But if they each carve out their own role, if Tucker is a short yardage goal line guy, if Gainwell is comes in on more on third down and can give you some stuff in the passing game as well as running the ball, and maybe just take the load off Bucky. Maybe you have a situation where those two guys are interchangeable, and that can be good too. You know, rather than having different backs, you got you get three guys that can all do the exact same thing. They can run outside zone, run power, catch the ball out of the backfield, and so you never have really a fall off. But I'm excited to see Gainwell because I think people will be surprised what a good player this guy is. I mean, to be the MVP of the Pittsburgh Steelers on a team that has Aaron Rodgers, you know, and some really good players, that's saying something. And you know, last year you know, he was able to produce over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, and he averaged, and this was key, 4.7 yards a carry. Now you'll take that all day. You know, if he can be that productive for the Bucs, then they really got something. So, interested to see just how Bucky comes around. You know, what his mental frame of mind is, how he is physically, and kind of how he integrates in this offense. But I'll say this, and Bashan Robinson was an All Pro, but you know, Zach Robinson had no trouble getting that guy going, both in the passing game and the running game. And if he can do that with these three backs, then they'll be just fine. So check it out, the Tampa Bay Times on tampabay.com. Read about Bucky Irving, just where he is with respect to his injury and what's expected of these three running backs. All right, for your sports viewing pleasure, we'll start with the Rays hosting the Baltimore Orioles. That one will be tonight.
They get the Orioles twice in the next 10 days or whatever. So,
oh, is that right? Home and away.
Chance to get a lot of wins there. Orioles not a very good team.
Not a good team, but make sure you come out to the Wednesday afternoon Businessman Special and say hello to me. I will be there for that. And it's Game 7 of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs between Montreal and Buffalo. That game is in Buffalo.
That's been a crazy series, but in a different way than the Lightning Canadiens crazy series.
Yeah, so describe to me what you mean by that.
A ton of goals. Up and down, run and gun.
Yeah.
The Lightning Canadiens was a very defensive series. Everything was a one-goal game. 2-1, 3-2.
Right.
Not this series.
Now,
I think 6 goals has been the least amount of goals scored in a game.
Okay, so what are your theories on it? Some of that's goaltending, right? But some of it is, I think the Lightning were just bound and determined the way they structured their team this year to be very physical and slow the game. They lost their identity of running up and down the ice a little bit.
Well, but the Lightning's identity is they tried to, while the Lightning have all the skill players and people want to think they're a finesse run and gun team, the Lightning's identity when they won cups and in this year was we get a lead, we shut you down.
Yeah, no, that's what they did. When
the
they
problem
won the
is
Cup.
they didn't get a lead in the series.
No, they were always behind 1-0.
They led so little in that series. Montreal was scoring the first goal most times. And,
Yep. And then they go up 2-1, and 12 seconds later, it'd be in the back of their net.
They just never got the lead to then lock it down.
Correct.
Their identity, while people want to say it's about Cooch and Point and Gensel and Hagel, and it is, like, that's your offense. But their identity was, we get a lead, we shut you down. That's how they won cups. That's how they played all regular season. They just didn't get a lead in the series. Or very little of it. Buffalo, Montreal is run and gun up and down the ice. There's not a lot of defense being played.
Right.
And, the other day, 4 goalies played in the game? Nobody was hurt. Both teams pulled their goalies in game 6.
That was weird.
Carolina's got to be sitting back going, we'll take either one of these two teams.
Heck yeah. And they're sitting so long that they might just get stale.
Well, that's true, too. Colorado.
I don't know that you'd want to be out that long, to be honest with you.
No,
How do you keep a team playoff ready when you don't play for 10 days?
Yeah, it's 12, I think, by the time they're going to play.
It's going to be 12, yeah, by the time they
play. It'll be Thursday night is when the series is going to start. So,
how's that even? How do you even come back from that?
Colorado's got the same thing. They've been resting for a while, too.
Yeah, rest versus rust. I guess the good news is that if anybody's injured, they feel healthy now.
And you're not getting other players hurt because you're playing more games. So.
Correct. Yeah. Let the other teams beat each other up, and you'll just be sitting there waiting for them. But I'm kind of listen. I love what St. Louis or what has happened with that Montreal team and what Martin St. Louis has done with them. Buffalo's a good story too. Because they haven't been in this position for a while. But I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying watching Montreal play right now. Not that I'm a fan, but it could be another year where the Lightning lose in the first round to a team that goes to the Stanley Cup final. Could be.
Well, Montreal, in last series, lost Game 6 at home, won Game 7 on the road.
Yep.
They're trying to do that again.
Trying to do it again. Yeah. They had a chance to close it out and didn't. So we'll see if they have a lot of pressure when you're at home too, though, when you're the Buffalo. But man, that place is going to be crazy. Great atmosphere. It's going to be fun. So get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you check out the NFL watches while supplies last. 32 team watches. And also watches for your wife or girlfriend, sports watches. You can choose from all different colored wristbands. You're just going to love the customer service. And it is Breitling Boutique International Plaza. Let them know that you heard about it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud, the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day.